Shinji is an average guy. He wakes up in the morning and the first thing he does is grabs his phone and wastes time. Later on, he staggers out of bed, gets ready for his shitty minimum wage job, where his colleagues don't give a rat's ass about him. Shinji lives for the brief escape of coming back home and getting on some Apex Legends. Now, Miyuki Shirogane, president of the student council at Shujin Academy, a school for the elite. He is anything but average. Despite his disadvantaged background, Miyuki Shirogane is at the top of his year. He's an excellent leader and also a reliable friend. Shirogane is living the life, having earned the respect and admiration of his peers, and is making memories, instead of vicariously living through his favourite shows and games. What's your life more like? Is it more like Shinji, or is it more like Shirogane? If I were to hazard a guess, it is probably more like Shinji, isn't it? Well, what if it didn't have to be? Do you not want to be more confident, more respected, and be living a more exciting life? Yeah, I know Shirogane is a fictional character, I'm not fucking stupid, but with the right steps, I believe that within the next 15 minutes, you can start becoming more like Shirogane and less like Shinji. So, to become more like your weeaboo-ass protagonist self, you need to do a few things. I'm sorry, they don't involve learning Japanese or flying off to Japan. It's not what this is about. Instead, you're going to have to tackle 5 fundamental aspects of your life that are going to make sure that this summer isn't just boring filler, and instead, it is your summertime skip. And these aspects are as follows: skill mastery, character, wealth, relationships, and health. Spoiler alert, in this video we're mostly going to focus on skill mastery, and I'm going to teach you how you can effectively learn and master a new skill. But before we get to that, I'm going to go over the 2 other aspects that Shirogane represents best. Shirogane is an excellent showcase for building character, cultivating quality relationships, so let's get to that. Miyuki Shirogane is a hard worker. He not only takes responsibility for fulfilling his own potential, but also helping others fulfill their own potential, as well as resisting some of the most difficult of temptations. His integrity is what makes us gravitate towards him as a character. Yeah, if he didn't help Miko during her speech, she still would have lost and he still would have won. Nothing would have changed in the end. But that wasn't the right way to win. And the fact that he went out of his way to help her is why we respect him more. Or what about having the open-mindedness? Investigate Ishigami himself, come to an understanding of his situation, give him the compassion and support he needed the most at the time, and perhaps most importantly of all, telling him that he wasn't right, that his choice wasn't the right one, but nevertheless accepting him for it. These are literally the character-defining moments that make us as the audience fall for Shirogane. If you want similar adoration in your life, you're going to have to work on developing your character. And to develop your character, you need to start adhering to high-quality values. Values such as ambition, discipline, or humility are all excellent values that you can start with. We intrinsically respect and admire people who have strong high-quality values and they adhere to them, especially when it is most difficult to do so. Why? Because we find out that they're reliable and competent, and that makes us trust. And how do you build those values? Well, the most important part is to live them out in your daily life. Every day, you have to adhere to them. If you want to be ambitious, let's say, you're going to have to set goals in your life, not just in your fucking Apex Legends rank. You're going to have to set goals for your career, your physique, your finances, or your purpose. And if you don't know how to set goals, you can check out my previous video where we look at your boy Kong Ming, and I will become your tactician to help you set smart goals. But what if it's values that you're struggling? What are high quality values, you may think to yourself? That is a long and complex topic deep in of itself, but I would recommend read the book Soul Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Mance, where he delves into that. The TLDR for high quality values is that you need to be able to be in charge of fulfilling them, and you also need to be able to measure how close you adhere to them. Otherwise, they can very likely become toxic. Moving on, we have relationships. Quality relationships are quite literally life-defining. The people you choose to spend your time with have an effect on you, whether you like it or not. So let's take a look at Shirogane's relationships and who he's surrounded by. Well, firstly, we have best girl Kaguya.
Hey, hey!
I mean second best girl Kaguya, and also second best student at Shujin Academy. She's compassionate, dignified, and quite literally a natural at everything she does. High quality traits across the board, and through that and the competition she has with Shirogane, she elevates him throughout the series. Similarly, we have the secretary of the student council, Chika. Chika is literally a treasure chest worth of different talents, from sports to singing, from dancing to rap, and all of these skills rub off on Shirogane. Why? Because she's not accepting of him being completely mediocre, and also Shirogane's willingness to learn. Then we also have Ishigami to offer a second opinion in guy talk, and we also have Ino, keeps the standard of the student council high. All of the members of the student council elevate Shirogane, and in turn Shirogane elevates them. And I think the best example of that is clearly seen with Ishigami near the finale of season 2. These are all excellent examples of the kind of relationships we should try and foster. But the question is how? Ultimately, you can't control who you meet. And although you can minimize your time with friends like Shinji, you can't necessarily just pick out new people into your friend group all that easily. But there is still things you can do about this. First of all, the high quality people that can help you with your growth are most likely also looking for high quality people who can help them with their growth. First step is to become a high quality person yourself by building on your character and sticking to important values. But we already talked about that. So what's the second approach? The second approach is to hang out where those high quality people would. If you're looking for someone to talk to with about anime, you're going to go on a Discord server, you're going to go on a Reddit page, you may even go to a convention. That's where you'd find the people you want to talk to. Now, if you want to talk about someone about fitness or healthy eating, how about you go make friends in the gym? Those people are more than likely also interested in something similar. And now, last but not least, we're finally getting to skill mastery. Skill mastery is a concept of learning and mastering a new skill or refining a skill you already have to give yourself value. And it fits Shirogane's character completely. What? Shirogane is an academic powerhouse. He is outdoing the rich and privileged semester after semester. He is quite literally the top of the food chain in his environment. It is what got him his place on the student council, it is what earned him his respect amongst his peers, and it is what gives him his confidence. The show itself actually mentions that in one of the last episodes of season 3. And I wrote this script first. So, you may already have pretty decent grades, you may be in a sports team, you may be good at art, or you may be playing an instrument. That's great. That's a great starting point. However, if you don't, you may want to look at your STEAM hours a bit and reconsider your life. But regardless, mastering a skill is a deep and complex topic with many aspects to it. So today we're only going to focus on a few, namely categorizing skills and practice types. Skills can be broadly categorized based on 3 different aspects: environmental influence, complexity, and organization. Firstly, we have environmental influence. More or less, how much does your skill get affected by the environment around you? These are split into closed skills and open skills. Weightlifting, for instance, is a closed skill. You will bench press, squat, and deadlift the exact same way no matter where you are. It won't change. Whereas team sports, for example, as a whole, are an open skill due to many variables such as your positioning or the actions of the other players. Next is complexity, which comes down to more or less how much you have to be concentrated to perform a specific task. Complexity is probably one of the most fluid aspects when it comes to categorizing skills. You see, for a beginner, any skill can be rather complex, whereas for an expert, any skill can become rather basic. I think playing an instrument is a very good example of this. You see, as a novice guitar player myself, playing tabs, which is something I'm comfortable with, is very basic at this point. On the other hand, if it's anything fingerstyle, it could take me upwards of half an hour to learn 2 chords. I'm dreadful at that. Moving on, we have organization. Simply speaking, organization refers to whether or not you can split a skill into simpler sub-skills or not. In video game terms, it's like, let's say, the difference between learning a combo in Street Fighter or learning to aim. When you're learning a combo, you can split it into move by move, input by input, and learn each of those individually. Whereas when it comes to aim, you can't really do the same. You just gotta click the head, bro. And why are these 3 categories important? That is because they dictate the most optimal way for you to practice. The 4 basic types of practice are as follows: fixed and variable, masked and dispersed. Fixed practice is for closed skills, ones that never change and the scenario never changes. Use this kind of practice to master any skill that has low organization and can be split into many different sub-skills. Essentially, you're learning each piece of the puzzle individually and then you're joining them up together to finally master your skill. Think of when Chico was teaching Shirogane how to play volleyball. They didn't learn volleyball as an entire game in of itself. They learned it through splitting it up. Whether he was learning to serve, or hell, they split it up even more. Whether it was just not blinking when he was trying to hit the ball. Next is variable practice. Here you're specifically training for open skills. And it comes down to improving your reflexes or on-the-spot problem solving. A competent photographer, for example, needs to be able to take a good photo regardless of where he is, what model he has, or what the lighting situation is. Varied practice entails trial and error in real life scenarios. Now notice how these two are like the complete opposite of each other, because so are the next two. Mass practice involves repeating the same action over and over again for a long period of time. It is essentially drilling a skill into your muscle memory. It is best used for simpler tasks, whether you can just tell whether you're doing it correctly or incorrectly. And then the opposite of it is dispersed practice. With dispersed practice, you take breaks more often where you receive feedback. These are best when the skill is more complex. In Shirogane's case, it would probably be singing. Singing is a more nuanced skill where feedback is essential for optimal growth. And while knowing how to master a skill is vitally important, there's a reason I'm telling you this. There's something perhaps even more important. Earlier on I said Shirogane is at the top of the food chain in his environment. And that is a very important distinction to make in the last lesson for today's video. The key to skill mastery is not to learn just a bunch of random party tricks. It is to learn, master, and refine skills that give you value. Of course, Shirogane is going to be highly respected when he's in an elite competitive school. That kind of skill is inherently valued in his environment. The more the people around you value a skill, the more rewards you can reap for mastering it. So be smart. Dedicate at least some of the time to mastering skills that are valuable to the people around you. Because believe me, the return on investment for learning skills that are favorable to others is next level. Skills like sports, aesthetic bodybuilding, social skills, or knowing how to play an instrument or sing are generally skills that are well respected by other people. And of course, they don't have to be directly people focused. Anything that people can find useful can be worth mastering. So that's all for today. Now you should be more than equipped to start following in Miyuki Shirogane's footsteps. And so get to it. I'll see you later.
そんなに頑張れるんですか？
かっこ悪いところは見せたくないからだ。見せるならやっぱかっこいいところだろう。